What if we all just took a step back and were truly honest with ourselves? What if we acknowledge that we aren't saints, we aren't perfect, and we're actually not as good as we want to be? I believe if we did that, then we'd probably end up better off than what we could ever imagine. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Nate, the Liberated Otaku, and today's topic is covering the idea about facing our darkness, the parts of ourselves that we honestly don't like, and the parts that we try to hide away. And to help me illustrate this, I'll be discussing a little bit about a character from a new anime this season called Failure Frame, Mimori Touka. And as an added bonus, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'll be sharing my own darkness and how I actually turned it into something positive. First off, when I say darkness, I'm not talking about being evil or just a generally bad person. I'm talking about the sides of ourselves that aren't exactly flattering and the sides that people may not really like. Our tempers, our foul mouths, or sometimes the tendency to look down on others, because let's be honest, we've all done it at least once or twice in our lives, right? But whatever your vice is, it's something that you can't deny, because whether you like it or not, it's a part of you. And if you continue to act like that it's not, then you may just end up lying to yourself and possibly, I don't know, feel like something's just missing. Take Mimori Touka, for instance. On the surface, he seems to be this kind, honest, and honestly just really straightforward guy who wouldn't and honestly couldn't hurt anyone. But beneath the surface, there lies a darker side to Touka. See, due to his abusive parents when he was growing up, Touka developed a mindset of, revenge. An eye for an eye. He always sought back to get back at those who've done him any type of wrong. But later on, when he was rescued by his aunt and uncle, who would become his adoptive parents at this point, Touka decided to suppress that darker persona of his so he could try to live a happy and relatively normal life. But despite all his best efforts, that darkness was always just, again, right below the surface. And eventually, it had to come out for him in order to survive yet again. Now, I'm telling you this story about Mimori Touka for two reasons. One, because I'm enjoying the anime and I needed a reason to talk about it. But two, is to show you that honestly, you're not responsible for whatever happened to you, for whatever reason that you have this darkness, this vice in the first place. It's not your fault. I mean, Touka didn't ask for abusive parents, right? And I'm sure you didn't ask for whatever situation you had in your life to develop this less than desirable side to yourself. Some of it may have came from things that, you were just born with, right? Because it happens. And other things, maybe because you needed it in that season of your life, just so you could survive. But now is the time to honestly just to get rid of it, or to be more accurate, to turn it into something positive, something that you can be useful to you, and not something that you have to hide. But the first step in all that is actually acknowledging and accepting that part of yourself. So with that being said, I'll go first. So the main pieces of my darkness are my temper and my battle with lust. For the longest time, I tried to deny these aspects of myself. I held in my anger, not wanting to, be the angry black man. And oftentimes people just saw it as a weakness, right? When you can't control your emotions. And as for my lust, obviously I tried my hardest not to look at anything tempting, let's put it that way. But I'm sure you can guess what happened. I failed every single time. I'd blow up for seemingly no reason, and I'd find myself back again on those sites. Why? Because instead of accepting those things, I chose to just deny them outright, pretend like they didn't exist, that they weren't a problem, so to speak. And when I say accept, I'm not talking about to, justify these things. I'm not saying that it's okay to be, the angry black man, to be looking at these things. What I'm saying is it's a part of who you are in this moment of time. And that's okay. We all have parts of ourselves that we want to get better at and that we need to improve upon. But that's what the whole message of this video is about. We have to acknowledge that, okay, hey, this is a problem that I want to fix. And once you acknowledge it, then you're able to move forward onto the next step, which is accepting it and changing it. So as for me, I'm going to break it down in kind of two different parts. So one, my anger. Why was I angry all of the time? Well, because of two things. One, I get it honest, right? I have a pretty short temper, just like my mom, and it's something that we laugh about every now and again. But two is that growing up, I always tried to be the perfect child for my parents. And no, it's not because they wanted me to or they made me feel that way in any type of thing. I just wanted to be a good son for them, to be the best son that I could be. And what that led to is me skewing that perception into perfectionism. I thought that I had to be perfect. I thought my best was perfection, not really understanding that we're all human. We all have our mistakes that we're going to make. But when I was, 6, 7, 8 years old, my mind wasn't thinking about that. And due to this view of perfectionism, it led me to have a whole bunch of stress that I put on myself that no one else did, that I did to myself. And it's because of that pressure that I was constantly angry and that I just had no idea where it was coming from. And again, that's where I decided to, bottle it up until I couldn't anymore. And we all know what happens when somebody bottles up all their anger and it just comes out all at once, right? It's never really pretty. And as for my lusts, I was liking girls since I just came out the womb, in all honesty. And now I wasn't some type of Casanova or just, this babe magnet. That's because I was pretty awkward growing up and I just don't like talking to people. So just never really happened. But I did have a few crushes earlier on, here and there, right? As most kids do. And by the time I went through puberty and discovered the late night specials on, all the premium channels, it was a wrap. And don't even get me started on High School DxD, man, because to this day, I still randomly just yell out, no! Now, obviously, I felt ashamed because, not only because of my faith, because again, if you've been around the channel long enough, you know that I'm a Christian. Obviously, no shame in that. But it was even deeper than that. It wasn't just because of my faith. It was because it started affecting how I view relationships and what they, should be. And honestly, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video because I already made an entire video about my battle with lust. So if you want to learn more about that, then check out the link in the description or the note card somewhere up here. But what got me to really accept these things and to begin that type of healing process was really just understanding that these things are natural, right? It's okay to be angry from time to time, and it's okay to be attracted to someone, right? Those aren't issues. Those aren't something that's bad, right? And I think a lot of times we get caught up in our heads because other people are demonizing some very natural things. But what's not okay is letting these things consume and rule your life, making you really act out a character. And when it gets to the point that's like all you can think about, that's all you are, then that's when it becomes a problem. So again, accepting them means you just acknowledge that they exist without letting them rule over you. Hoping that makes sense. If not, let me know in the comments below because I'm doing my best here. But what I want you to understand now is understand the root cause of whatever your own darkness is. And then we're going to take some steps in order to manage them. No, better yet, to transform them. So once you've accepted these parts of yourself, it's time to use them in a constructive way. For me, when it comes to my anger, I channel that aggression into my fitness, whether it's martial arts, running, calisthenics, or weightlifting. These are just a few of the ways that I use to actually vent out my frustrations, to kind of get out that extra energy, so to speak. And I also combine that with a few mental and spiritual hacks like, praying and honestly, surprise, just talking things out with somebody. It's really amazing when you actually sit down and talk to somebody, even if they're just there so you can vent to them, how much better you feel. And as someone who's always been the one people vent to, it's refreshing from time to time to be the one to vent. I'm just saying. So if you haven't tried it, I suggest you do. As for my lust, this was more of an identity shift. See, I changed my mindset from trying not to look at those things, trying not to be just caught up in, all the stuff that's out there, to telling myself that I am not the type of person that even looks at that type of stuff. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke because that's just who I am. And my battle with lust was honestly no different. Also combining that with replacing the urges when they hit with activities like going out for a walk, playing video games, or even writing has been a game changer for me. Now, I'm no saint, and yes, I still have slip ups from time to time. Because believe it or not, I'm human. I'm still here. I'm still taking it day by day. And that's all you have to do. And as for you, once you learn to accept those parts of yourself, channel them into something constructive, into something positive. Find positive outlets for your darkness and turn them into something that you can actually be proud of. I'm sharing all of this with you guys because I don't want you to keep hiding and lying to yourself. I don't want you to be a nervous wreck because some random person might judge you for not being perfect. Guess what? Neither are they. So learn to accept your flaws and then actually do something about them, right? That's the key. Accept and then do, right? We need both. So stop being scared. Stop hiding. Learn to be free. Dare to be liberated and own your story.